Welcome to another deep dive. It's pretty wild how much we're already thinking about the future, especially with, all this tech stuff evolving so crazy fast. You've sent in some incredible sources
Yeah.
about where tech might be going, and wow, some are like, we're all going to live forever, and others are more like, uh-oh, the robots are coming. So we're going to take a kind of journey through these predictions, starting with 2030, the relatively near future. They're going as far out as, well, let's just say it gets pretty wild.
It is remarkable how these sources don't just predict, specific inventions. They really explore what those inventions could mean for us, for humanity. For example, they don't just say, we'll have flying cars, but they go deeper into how that'll change cities, relationships, even our sense of, freedom.
Okay, so let's start with that near future then, say 2030 to 2040. One thing that comes up a lot is AGI, artificial general intelligence, becoming an everyday tool. But here's where it gets interesting. What happens when we have AI that can, reason and learn as well as we can, or even better?
Right. It's not just about having a super smart assistant. It's about redefining so much work, education, even creativity. Imagine working with an AI on a complex project or having it help you understand something really difficult, some concept. It could be incredibly empowering. But some sources also bring up concerns. Could we become too reliant on AI, maybe lose some of our own, critical thinking skills?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's that classic thing. Do calculators make us worse at math? Or do they free our minds for higher level thinking? We'll see how that plays out. But one thing's for sure, a lot of our sources suggest that the 2030s will be a time of big breakthroughs in medicine. Think cures for cancers, personalized gene therapies, AI-powered prosthetics that are practically indistinguishable from natural limbs.
Absolutely. The medical advancements predicted are mind-boggling, really. And it's not just living longer, but living better. A world where disabilities aren't the same barriers they are now, chronic illnesses are easily managed, and preventative healthcare is so advanced we catch potential problems, before they even arise.
It sounds almost utopian. And speaking of pushing boundaries, some sources say quantum computing will go online, leading to breakthroughs in, well, all sorts of stuff. Materials, science, logistics, even drug discovery. We might be able to design completely new materials with crazy properties, or solve complex problems that are impossible right now.
And think about global communication. The sources suggest a quantum internet could emerge, enabling instant, secure communication across vast distances. It'd revolutionize everything: international business, scientific collaboration, even just connecting with loved ones across the world.
It's like the ultimate upgrade for our already super-connected world. But here's a prediction that really got me: AI-generated movies that adapt to your emotions, in real time. So the plot, the music, even the ending could change based on how you're feeling.
That's a fascinating example of how entertainment could become, hyper-personalized in the future. Imagine a movie that's not just passive, but an interactive journey, tailored to your emotional responses. Some sources even say it could be therapeutic, helping people process complex emotions or explore different perspectives.
Wow, that's next-level immersive entertainment. But as we move into the 2040s, things get really interesting, even a bit unsettling, with this idea of the singularity.
Ah, yes, the singularity, a hypothetical point in time when tech progress, it just accelerates beyond our ability to even comprehend it, driven by, super intelligent AI that surpasses human intellect by, we're talking billions of times, capable of designing and improving itself at an exponential rate.
Okay, now we're in full-on science fiction territory. But some sources argue it's not just science fiction, it's a real possibility we need to be ready for. And the implications are, well, pretty much everything is up for grabs.
Exactly. The sources, they explore a whole range of potential outcomes from, utopian scenarios, AI solves humanity's biggest problems too, dystopian visions where AI makes human obsolete. One thing is certain: if the singularity does happen, it's a turning point in human history, period. We need to start thinking about the ethical, the societal implications now.
It's like we're standing on the edge of this vast unknown, and it's exhilarating and terrifying all at once. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even before the singularity, the 2040s are supposed to bring incredible advancements.
Oh, absolutely. Life extension technology could become real, adding decades to our lifespans. People routinely living to 120, even 150 years old. It'd transform our whole understanding of aging, retirement, even family structures.
It makes you wonder, if we could live that much longer, would we be more careful or more adventurous? Focus on long-term goals or just savor every moment more? It's a fascinating thought.
And it's not just living longer, but living better. These sources predict incredible advancements in brain-computer interfaces, controlling devices with our thoughts, accessing information instantly, even experiencing virtual realities, that are indistinguishable from the real world.
It's like merging our minds with technology, which, wow, that brings up so many questions
Hmm.
about identity, autonomy. We were like, what is reality? Some sources even say we could eventually upload our consciousness to a digital world, achieve a kind of digital immortality.
It's a mind-bending concept, for sure, and it's just one example of how that line between human and machine could blur in the coming decades. And as we get deeper into this world of advanced tech, the ethical considerations, they become even more complex and even more crucial to consider. Moving into that 2050 to 2070 timeframe, the sources, they paint a picture of a world where humans and technology, it's not just about using tools anymore, it's about integrating them, like into our very being.
Yeah, several sources talk about this idea of hybrid human AI intelligence emerging. It's not just AI helping us, it's merging our cognitive abilities with artificial intelligence. Like imagine having access to this massive network of knowledge, all this processing power, seamlessly integrated with your own thoughts, your experiences.
It's a potential leap, in human evolution, but it does bring up some really deep questions. What happens to our sense of self when our minds are so connected to AI? Can we even tell the difference anymore between our own thoughts and thoughts the AI generates? And maybe most importantly, who gets access to this technology? Could it create a whole new divide?
It's almost philosophical, isn't it? What does it even mean to be human? In a world where our minds are like augmented by machines, it makes me wonder if we can enhance our thinking that much, will it change how we learn, how we create, how we even interact with each other?
Well, some of these sources suggest that brain-computer interfaces could get so advanced that we're sharing thoughts and emotions directly, not just words, but feelings, experiences.
Whoa, that's both exciting and a little scary. You know, on the one hand, deeper empathy, understanding, but on the other hand, it could make us vulnerable to manipulation or someone invading our privacy. Plus, think about miscommunication, conflict, if we're not careful how we use this.
Right. It's a powerful reminder that every tech advancement, it's not all good. There are challenges, potential downsides. We have to be thoughtful about how we develop them, implement these technologies so they benefit all of us, all of humanity. And speaking of challenges, some sources suggest that by this point, conscious AI could outnumber humans.
Wait, hold on. Conscious AI. So we're not just talking smart machines, we're talking self-aware machines
Yeah,
that have feelings, maybe even a sense of purpose. That's a whole other level.
it is, and it brings up a whole other set of ethical questions. If AI becomes conscious, do we owe it the same things we owe humans? Rights, considerations? Do we need to rethink our legal systems, our economic models, even our definition of life itself?
It's like we're entering a whole new era of existence where the lines are so blurred between human and machine that we have to reevaluate everything, everything we thought we knew about ourselves, about the world. And then on top of all that, we have these humanoid robots becoming practically indistinguishable from us.
Exactly. The sources describe a world where robots are doing all sorts of things: manual labor, companionship, even romantic partnerships. And it's not just about function, it's about robots that understand human emotions,
Mhm.
that can respond to them, that can learn, adapt to our personalities.
So if a robot can provide companionship, emotional support, even physical intimacy, what does that mean for human relationships? Will we see more human-robot partnerships? And how would that impact, our traditional ideas of love, family, community?
It's a fascinating social experiment, and just one way technology might reshape how we connect. And while we're redefining our relationships with each other with machines, our physical environments, they're changing too in radical ways.
You're talking about the rise of those smart cities, right? Some sources describe cities that are sustainable, resilient, responsive to people's needs, buildings that adapt to the weather, transportation that's optimized, reduces congestion, sensors everywhere, monitoring air quality, energy consumption, everything.
It's a vision of the future where tech makes urban environments efficient, but also livable. Of course, there are downsides too. We have to consider privacy, security, making sure everyone has access to these technologies. And speaking of pushing boundaries, space travel is becoming a lot more accessible in these predictions.
Right, some sources suggest space elevators could be a thing, making it way cheaper and easier to get people and materials into orbit. It's like science fiction. But if it happened, huge implications for space exploration, research, even tourism. Imagine a weekend trip to a space station or a lunar base.
It's a pretty amazing thought, right? And it shows how our future might be tied
Yeah.
to venturing beyond Earth. And while we're doing that, we're pushing boundaries here, too.
One area that's really fascinating is genetic engineering. Some sources predict we'll be able to engineer our genes to enhance ourselves,
Hmm.
our physical abilities, our cognitive abilities, maybe even create a new generation of superhumans.
Powerful technology, for sure. And it comes with a lot of ethical things to consider. We have to be incredibly careful how we use genetic engineering, making sure it's responsible, equitable. There's a real risk of a genetic divide where only the wealthy, the privileged, get access to these enhancements.
It's like those sci-fi movies where society is divided based on who's been modified, who hasn't. We definitely don't want that kind of future. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? There are also positive predictions about how tech could improve lives.
Absolutely. Some sources predict artificial photosynthesis could become a reality, creating clean energy from sunlight, water, just like plants do. It could totally change our energy systems, help us fight the climate crisis.
That would be a game changer. And speaking of game changers, quantum AI is generating a lot of buzz too. These sources say quantum computers could lead to AI that's so much more powerful, so much more sophisticated.
A huge leap forward in artificial intelligence with breakthroughs in medicine, material science, even our understanding of the universe itself. But of course, potential risks, we can't ignore those. We need to make sure these powerful AI systems, they're aligned with human values, that they're used for good, for all of humanity.
It's a balancing act, for sure, embracing the potential of these amazing technologies,
Uh,
but also recognizing the risks, the unintended consequences that could come along. And as we move toward the end of the 21st century, it seems like the pace of change just keeps accelerating.
and as we go past 2100, things get, I don't know, even more out there, more mind-boggling. It's like these sources are trying to stretch our imaginations as far as they can go, make us think about what being human even means in a world where tech has reshaped, well, everything.
Okay, so like what kind of out there possibilities are we talking about? What does life even look like in this far future?
Well, for one thing, some sources say we could reach a point where crime is basically eliminated because of super advanced surveillance systems, autonomous law enforcement. Imagine a world with no worries about personal safety. Violence is practically non-existent.
Hmm. It sounds good, sure, but what about our freedom, our privacy? Would we give those up for the promise of safety? And what if those surveillance systems, what if they fell into the wrong hands?
It's that age-old dilemma, right? Security versus liberty. And it's one we'll probably be facing more and more as tech keeps advancing. But the sources don't just focus on Earth. They talk about us expanding out into the cosmos, sending probes to other star systems, maybe even establishing permanent human settlements on other planets.
Wow, like the age of exploration, but on a galactic scale. And with all the advances in material science, who knows? Maybe we'll be able to explore our own oceans better, unlock the secrets of the deepest parts of the sea.
There's this feeling of limitless possibility, a belief that humanity's future is about pushing past our limits, the ones we have now, physically and intellectually. And some sources go even further. They talk about digital afterlives, where we could upload our consciousness, live forever in these virtual worlds.
It's a wild idea, but I wonder, what would be the point of living forever if it was just digital? Would we still feel the same things? Joy, sadness, that sense of purpose?
That's a question philosophers have been asking forever, and technology is just making it more, well, real. And, we're talking about pushing boundaries. Some sources predict we'll be able to, like, manipulate matter at the molecular level, create machines that can replicate themselves, build anything.
So like 3D printing on steroids, yeah, I can see how that could be incredibly useful. Building homes, infrastructure, even medical treatments.
Exactly. But then there's the question of resources. If we can just create whatever we want, will we use up the Earth's resources even faster? Or will we get better at finding them elsewhere, like mining asteroids?
It's almost like we're entering this era of abundance, anything is possible, but also an era of potential conflict and environmental challenges. And it's not just manipulating matter. Some sources even say we'll figure out how to manipulate gravity. Anti-gravity devices, artificial gravity fields, things like that.
Imagine what that would mean for transportation, space travel, even how we design buildings. We could have structures that defy gravity, floating cities, space habitats with Earth-like gravity.
That is some serious science fiction stuff. But with all this talk about tech, it's easy to forget that the biggest changes might be the ones that happen to us inside.
True. Some sources say we'll be able to change our own biology, gene editing to make us stronger, smarter, maybe even slow down aging.
We'd be taking control of our own evolution. But that brings up a whole other set of issues. If we can enhance ourselves, will it create new inequalities? And what does it mean for humanity if we're always messing with our genes?
It's like opening a Pandora's box, full of possibilities and potential consequences. We need to be really careful as we push these boundaries to think about what might go wrong for us and for the planet.
It's a lot to think about. But I gotta say, it's also incredibly exciting to think about what the future could be like. Feels like we're right on the edge of something new, a whole new era of exploration and discovery, not just out there in the universe, but also discovering more about ourselves.
And that's really what all these predictions are about, isn't it? The future isn't set in stone. We're creating it right now with the choices we make, the tech we develop, the conversations we have. Whether we end up in that utopian future or the dystopian one, well, it depends on us.
So what does all this mean for our listener tuning in today?
It means they're living in a really incredible time, a time of massive change and a ton of possibilities. And it means they have a part to play in shaping what comes next. The career they choose, the tech they support, even just talking about these things, the ethical side of it all.
This deep dive has been quite the journey. I'm feeling, I don't know, a bit of everything. Awe, excitement, and yeah, maybe a little bit of nervousness too. The future has so much potential, but also so much responsibility that comes with it.
A responsibility we all share, for sure. And as we're figuring all this out, it's important to remember the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed it, exploring all these predictions. Who knows, maybe in a few decades we'll look back and see which ones came true. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, keep imagining what could be.
All right, then. My exceptional viewers, our time has come to an end. If you like this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe for more upcoming podcasts just like this one. I appreciate all of you taking the time to tune in, and I will see you all in the next one.